When I look at my sister Sophia and I see the path we share, I am reminded that together we have learned what it means to rely on one another, to hold fast when the night is long and the thunder rolls. We have witnessed our country, our people, our heritage face challenges we did not choose, yet we chose to face them nonetheless. Because to hold a role with history, with expectation, is to accept that storms may come, but storms also clear the air, shape the land, and reveal within us the power we did not yet know we had. My purpose is anchored in service. I have observed, through my family, through the lives of those around me, that the greatest honor lies not in the crown one may inherit, but in the lives one touches, in the hope one inspires. When I say I fell for the storm, I do not mean that I surrendered to it, but that I fell into it, I embraced it. I allowed it to teach me, to humble me, and to strengthen me. And from that place I stand before you with gratitude. Gratitude for the teachers, the mentors, the friends, the communities who have guided me. Gratitude for my sister-in-arms, Sophia, whose laughter in the darkest hour reminds me that even in the tempest we are not alone. Together we will strive to ensure that our role is one of meaning, that our decisions reflect kindness, responsibility, and a vision of a future where everyone has the chance to flourish. Let us remember, storms do not last forever. They teach us to bend, but not to break. They show us that after the fiercest gust, the sky can be calm once more. And when calm returns, we must stand tall, and not merely survive, but thrive, for the generations that follow, for our homeland, for all those whose voices go unheard. Powerful end, so I invite you to walk with me, to step bravely into the winds, not in fear, but in hope. Let us be the generation that does not yield to the storm, but uses its energy to build something enduring and true. And when the skies clear and the horizon reveals itself, may we look back and know that we fell for the storm not because we were overwhelmed, but because we believed in the change it brought. Thank you. There are moments in life when the meaning of duty transforms from an idea into a calling that you feel within your very heartbeat. It begins as a quiet understanding, something taught by example, shaped by those who came before you. Yet as you grow, it deepens. It stops being something you are reminded of and becomes something you live for. Duty is not a weight. It is a promise, one that I carry with pride, with humility, and with hope for what it can become when it is guided by service. From a young age, I have watched how service defines the measure of one's life. It is not in the applause, nor in the recognition, but in the quiet moments of responsibility that often go unseen. True service is built in silence, in listening, in understanding, in standing beside others rather than above them. To serve is not to lead from a distance, but to walk among those whose stories you represent, to feel their joys and their sorrows as part of your own. It is in that connection that duty finds its purpose. Every generation inherits both a legacy and a challenge. Mine is to continue what has been entrusted to me, not as a repetition of what was done before, but as a renewal of its meaning. The world around us changes faster than we can sometimes understand. New questions rise, new responsibilities call out, and new paths must be created. Yet the essence of service never changes. It remains rooted in empathy, in the will to protect what is good and uplift what has been forgotten. I have learned that service is not measured by the size of our actions, but by the intention that shapes them. A gesture of kindness, a moment of listening, a single step toward unity, each is a thread in the fabric of something far greater. When duty guides our actions, they become part of a wider purpose, one that belongs not to us alone, but to the community, the nation, and the generations to come. There are days when duty feels heavy, when its expectations are vast and its path uncertain. But it is in those very days that we must remember why we carry it. Duty is not meant to be easy. It is meant to be meaningful. It demands resilience, patience, and the courage to keep walking when the road ahead is not clear. It asks us to see beyond our own comfort, to act with conviction even when no one is watching, to stand for something larger than ourselves. In moments of challenge, I often think of the many people across my country whose work often goes unseen yet keeps our world steady. Those who rise before dawn to serve others, who give without expecting anything in return, who hold their families, their communities, and their principles together through strength and faith. They remind me that service is not defined by status, it is defined by sincerity. It is the quiet backbone of every society, the invisible bond that ties one life to another. To embrace duty is also to embrace learning. Service is not static, it grows with understanding. It evolves as we listen, as we open our hearts to the experiences of others, as we let compassion shape our vision. Every encounter becomes a lesson, every person a teacher. In serving, we discover the dignity of others, and through that, the best of ourselves. There are moments when we stand before choices that test our sense of duty. It is easy to serve when the path is bright, but real service begins when the path is uncertain. When one must decide not for the comfort of the present, but for the good of the future. Duty asks for foresight. It asks for the ability to see beyond oneself, to weigh the long-term impact of every action, to seek not popularity but purpose. In the heart of service there is always gratitude. Gratitude for those who guide us, for those who trust us, and for those who remind us that no one serves alone. We are all part of something greater, a shared journey that transcends our individual lives. Service flourishes when it is supported by others, when it is woven together by shared effort and mutual respect. It is a collective strength, born not from authority, but from unity. As I walk forward, I carry with me the awareness that duty is not a single act or a single day. It is a lifelong path. It grows with time, with every choice, with every moment when one decides to put others first. It is a call that echoes differently for each of us, yet it always leads to the same place, the commitment to make a difference. However small, however quiet that difference matters, duty teaches humility. It reminds us that leadership is not about standing above, but about standing with. It asks for patience, for respect, for listening. It demands that we see those who are often unseen, that we recognize their value, and that we ensure their voices are heard. It is in that humility that service becomes authentic. Without humility, duty becomes hollow, but when humility and duty walk hand in hand, they become the foundation of trust. There is also a beauty in service, a kind of peace that comes when one knows they are doing something meaningful. Even when no one notices, even when it is difficult, that inner certainty becomes its own reward, because to serve is to belong to something timeless, something that endures beyond us. I have come to believe that duty is not only a responsibility, but also a privilege. It allows us to participate in the building of something lasting, something that carries the spirit of hope. Service transforms challenges into opportunities for growth. It turns obstacles into lessons, storms into strength. And through it we find a sense of purpose that cannot be shaken by circumstance. When I look to the future, I see duty as a light that does not blind but guides. It is a promise to continue, to improve, to stand steady in the face of change. It is a bridge between past and future, between what we have inherited and what we will create. And I believe that if we hold that light carefully, if we nurture it with care and understanding, It will not only illuminate our own path, but also help others find theirs. And so, as I move forward on this journey, I do so with a heart open to learning, with hands ready to work, and with the firm belief that service in all its forms is the truest expression of purpose. For when we dedicate ourselves to something greater than our own comfort, when we act not for recognition but for meaning, we find that duty and service are not burdens. They are the essence of who we are meant to be. They remind us that life gains its strength not from ease, but from commitment. They shape our choices, our character, and our destiny. And in that understanding lies a quiet truth, that every act of service, no matter how small, moves the world a little closer to light. There are moments in life when family becomes more than a word. It becomes the rhythm that sustains you, the foundation upon which you build everything you are and everything you hope to become. It is in family that we first learn what it means to love without measure, to forgive without pride, and to give without expecting anything in return. Family teaches us patience, and it teaches us courage. It teaches us to understand that strength is not always loud. It is often found in the quiet presence of those who stand beside you when the world feels uncertain. For me, family is the beginning of everything. It is where I have found the example of duty, the lessons of humility, and the comfort of knowing that no matter how wide the world becomes, there is always a place where I truly belong. Family grounds us. It gives us the language of care and the silence of understanding. It reminds us that even as we grow into our own paths, we are never truly alone. In this journey, my sister has been both a reflection and a guide. There is a special kind of strength in sisterhood, a bond that does not need constant words to be understood. It is an unspoken promise to stand together, to protect one another, and to celebrate each other's light. We have walked through laughter and challenge, through the simplicity of shared moments and the gravity of shared responsibility. With her, I have learned that companionship is not about perfection, but about presence, that even in silence there is a comfort that speaks louder than any voice. There is something sacred in growing together, in learning side by side how to face the winds of expectation and the weight of purpose. In every chapter of my life, I have found in her a mirror of resilience and of grace. We do not compete. We complete one another in the balance that every bond of sisterhood holds, the strength of difference and the beauty of unity. Our journey together has not been only about titles or roles. It has been about discovering what it means to serve together, to dream together, to carry hope together. There have been days filled with laughter that echoed through the walls, and there have been days of reflection when silence held more meaning than any word. Through it all, we have understood that our shared path is not just a privilege, but a responsibility, to remain grounded, to stay human, and to always remember the people whose lives we are meant to understand and represent. Family gives us roots, but sisterhood gives us wings. It teaches us how to stand firm and how to move forward. There are times when we look at each other and know, without speaking, that the world beyond us is vast and unpredictable, yet in that glance lies the assurance that we will never face it alone. We have learned to lift each other when doubt creeps in, to remind one another that even in the hardest moments, kindness must remain our compass. The shared journey of family is not always simple. It demands understanding when perspectives differ, forgiveness when words fall short, and patience when time feels heavy. But it also offers the deepest form of joy, the kind that comes from knowing that every step you take, someone walks beside you with the same love and faith that built your foundation. There are lessons that only family can teach. It teaches you that love sometimes means letting go allowing others to grow in their own way. It teaches you that being together does not mean being the same. It means embracing each other's strengths and imperfections, knowing that unity does not erase individuality, but enriches it. And in that harmony, we discover how love matures not through ease, but through understanding. When I think of my journey, I think of the quiet mornings spent with shared words, and the long days filled with learning and growth. I think of the gentle reminders, the shared dreams, and the laughter that breaks through any fatigue. It is in those moments that I have understood the essence of belonging, not as a possession, but as a connection that endures through every season of change. Our paths, though intertwined, lead us both toward our own responsibilities, our own discoveries. Yet what we share is constant, a trust that does not waver, and a love that does not depend on circumstance. We carry with us the same values that were once taught to us: respect, honesty, and compassion. And as we step forward, we hold on to them not only for ourselves, but for those who will come after us. Family and sisterhood are not just ties of blood, they are choices renewed each day, to choose to listen, to choose to understand, to choose to support even when it is difficult. They remind us that love is not a fleeting feeling, but a commitment, one that asks for time, patience, and care. Through that, we discover that every shared challenge becomes a bridge, every shared triumph becomes a celebration of unity. There are many ways in which life tests the bonds we hold dear. Distance, responsibility, and time all have the power to stretch them. But real connection, the kind that family and sisterhood create, does not break under pressure, it adapts. It grows stronger because it knows its worth. It survives not through constant proximity, but through constant faith. In the quiet reflections of each evening, I often think about how these relationships shape who we are. They give us the courage to face what lies ahead, the wisdom to stay humble, and the comfort of knowing that love, in its truest form, is steady and enduring. It is the light we carry through the darkest nights, the warmth we draw upon when the world feels cold. Sisterhood, in particular, teaches one change arrives quietly at first. Like a whisper you barely notice until it grows into a wind that reshapes everything around you. It does not ask for permission, it simply moves swift, unpredictable, and often unrelenting, yet within that current lies the very essence of growth. Change does not seek to break us, though at times it feels that way. It seeks to reveal what has always been within us, resilience. It asks us not to stand untouched by the storm, but to learn how to bend without breaking, how to find our balance even when the ground shifts beneath us. I have come to understand that resilience is not born in moments of calm, but in moments when the world feels uncertain, when the plans we once held close to solve before us. It is in those times that we meet ourselves as we truly are, without pretense, without preparation. Resilience is not the absence of struggle, it is the quiet decision to continue. It is the strength to rise, not because it is easy, but because we must. Change has a way of testing what we believe in. It asks whether our convictions can stand against time and circumstance, whether the values that guide us remain steady even as the world evolves. I have seen how each season of change, personal, national, or global, carries both loss and possibility. To endure it requires more than endurance. It requires grace. It requires the ability to look forward with hope, even when the horizon feels uncertain. Resilience begins with acceptance. It begins when we stop resisting what has already begun to unfold. There is a difference between surrender and acceptance. The first gives up, the second grows wiser. When we accept change, we learn to listen to the lessons hidden within it, to the new paths it quietly opens. We find that even when something ends, something else begins, and that beginning may carry the very answer we once thought we had lost. Throughout life, I have watched how people strong, ordinary, extraordinary in their simplicity, find ways to rebuild. I have seen resilience not as a grand gesture, but as a quiet rhythm of persistence. It is the mother who rebuilds her strength after loss, the young student who keeps studying despite obstacles, the community that unites after hardship. Their stories remind me that resilience is not a rare gift, it is a shared capacity that lives within all of us. Change often brings with it uncertainty, and uncertainty can be difficult to bear, but it also creates space for transformation. It pushes us to evolve, to look deeper into ourselves and ask, what truly matters, what can we let go of, and what must we hold on to no matter what comes. Through that reflection, we refine our purpose. We strip away the unnecessary and return to the essential. There are moments when resilience feels quiet, almost invisible. It does not always look like triumph. Sometimes, it is simply the act of waking up and trying again, of offering kindness when the world feels harsh, of holding faith when the answers have not yet come. It is the steady heart that beats through uncertainty, reminding us that even in darkness we can move toward light. I have learned that resilience is deeply connected to hope, not the naive kind of hope that denies hardship, but the enduring kind that believes there is meaning even in difficulty. Hope gives us the courage to stand again. It tells us that tomorrow holds possibility, even when today feels heavy. Without hope, resilience has no direction. With it, every step becomes a promise to keep going. Change also teaches us humility. It reminds us that control is not always in our hands, and that the world is far larger than our plans. To be resilient is to embrace that truth with grace, to adapt, to learn, to begin anew without bitterness. Each change, no matter how uncomfortable, offers a lesson that prepares us for the next. Life is not about avoiding change, but about finding steadiness within it. Resilience is built in relationships too, in the support we give and receive, in the empathy that binds us. When we face change together, its weight becomes lighter. There is power in shared strength. When one falls, another helps them rise. When we walk beside each other through change, we discover the beauty of unity. We learn that resilience is not a solitary act, it is a shared journey. There are days when resilience feels like endurance, and others when it feels like rebirth. It shifts and reshapes itself as we do. Sometimes it calls for stillness to pause, to heal, to gather strength quietly before moving forward. Other times it calls for boldness to take the first step even when we cannot see the full path ahead. Both are forms of courage, both are forms of resilience. As I look toward the future, I know that change will remain constant. The world will continue to evolve, and so must we, but what gives me confidence is knowing that every challenge carries within it the possibility of renewal. History shows us this. Humanity has faced storms before, and always light has followed. What sustains us through those storms is not just our ability to adapt, but our ability to remember who we are, to stay true to our values even as the world around us transforms. Resilience does not mean being untouched by pain. It means allowing pain to shape us without defining us. It is the quiet wisdom of knowing that,